No question. Let's discuss. So the defending national champion Villanova Wildcats are the overall #1 seed in the tournament. Vegas currently has them tied with North Carolina and Gonzaga with the third best odds to win the tourney at 7-1 behind Duke and Kansas, who are 8-1. Coach, what chance do you give Villanova of repeating?
I give them about a 30% chance.
Okay.
Look, Villanova's a terrific basketball team. They're efficient offensively. They've got a go-to player in Josh Hart. Brunson has actually become Ryan Arcidiacono. They have not played. I totally agree with Fonz. O'Cheffel could defend the post. You could throw it into him. He was a terrific passer. He got him some easy baskets. This team is as connected as any team in the country. Do they have enough inside offense? They rely on the three, and that's a concern because one bad night, and they're out.
Yep.
And if you look at their bracket, they have some interesting teams to play along the way. Like, they could play Virginia Tech or Wisconsin. Wisconsin, slow, controls the tempo of the game, have some tough matchups. Virginia Tech, they're going to shoot 25 threes. Well, they make 11 of them, it could be an issue. So as you look through the bracket, they're going to have tough, competitive games. And by the way, that team, Duke, is playing pretty well, and they're on the other side. Uh-oh.
Yeah.
I hear something in my ear.
Molly, Max.
I hear something in my ear.
Yes.
Now, this is my buddy here. It's great to see you. I hope that I'm with you guys again for the Final Four. Let me say this. Everything that you just said about Villanova, I know you, Seth. I know you, Coach Greenberg. Isn't it true that really what this is all about is Duke in your eyes? Isn't that the hesitancy right there when we talk about Villanova in this region? Isn't it about Duke?
Well, in the end game, it is Duke. And it's Duke because of Tatum. It's Duke because of Kennard. It's Duke because of, to me, that they have more ways to score the basketball. And, you know, again, when we talk about Duke in the ACC tournament, let's put that in perspective, Stephen A. And I think you might even agree with me on this one. Going into the ACC tournament, Duke lost 3 or 4. They lost 3 or 4. But you know what? They got into the tournament. They survived Louisville. Donovan Mitchell gets in foul trouble. They survived North Carolina in an incredible basketball game. And they survived Notre Dame. We saw the best of Duke. Can they do that 2 weekends in a row? Tatum's the best isolation player in college basketball. To me, Kennard's the best clutch player right now in college basketball. They have issues up front. Can their front court survive? That'll be the question.
Yeah, I'm surprised, Coach, that you even have 30% for Villanova. That's some rough sledding in that bracket. I mean, oh my goodness.
I pay $70,000 a year tuition for my daughter.
But so, Coach, which of the favorites, in your view, is most likely to lay an egg in this tournament? Which of the favorites among
three seeds? When you said number 3 seeds, I'd say Baylor, because I don't think they were seeded correctly. Last 11 games, I think they lost 6 of their last 11. Early in the season, they were playing great. The 1-1-3 was really disrupting people. They played some man-to-man. Jonathan Motley was tough on the block. Manuel LeConte was knocking down shots. The Miami transfer. They lost a little bit of their trust, a little bit of their chemistry. I would say if I had to pick one of those types of seeds, I would say that Florida State and, more importantly, Baylor, I would be concerned about those 2 teams.
You know, let's go back to the East region in this respect, Coach. Is there anyone outside of Duke in that region that you're overly that you find yourself being a sleeper, somebody that potentially is going to come out of that region if you take Villanova and Duke out of the equation? Who's the biggest threat to those top 2 seeds?
I would say the biggest sleeper, I'm going to go outside the box here. The biggest sleeper in that bracket is SMU.
Yeah,
right.
30-4. 30-4.
30-4. The kid Ojale is basically Bonzie Colson in a lot of ways. They play like Notre Dame. They can make shots. Actually, they play Notre Dame, but they're better defensively. They make shots. They spread the court. They play 5 out. Ojale is a tough matchup. Ben Moore is experienced. This is a veteran senior team that's grown. They only have 6 guys, so they don't have any depth. But Ojale is a tough matchup. Shake Melton can make shots. They're athletic, and they defend. And Tim Jankovic has done an incredible job. They are my sleeper in this bracket. Pony up.
On that note,
Coach, who who among the players in this tournament is the Steph Curry, the guy who maybe he's not on everyone's radar now, but will be after he lights it up? Who's that guy?
You know, that's, man, I'll tell you one thing, that's no joke. I got to go, I might have to go all Inspector Clouseau. Keelan Martin at Butler is a guy that can get it going. Keelan Martin is 6'7". He's wired to score. He's got a scorer's mentality. He never saw a shot he didn't like. They play very good basketball, but Keelan Martin is a guy.
And they beat Villanova twice. They beat Villanova twice.
Yeah, exactly. And I'll give you one other guy and one other team. And you're going to like this, Stephen A. Even though you're a Philly guy and a New York guy, Seton Hall has 3 dudes. 3 dudes. Angel Delgado, he gobbles up rebounds like Pac-Man. Desi Rodriguez can flat score. He's a left-hander.
Yes.
And Kadeem Carrington. Those 3 dudes can play. They can score. I am really high on Seton Hall.
Seton Hall.
You're also very high. Now I'm spying on your bracket.
Oh, look at you.
I'm spying on UCLA. That's who you have winning it all. Am I correct?
I have UCLA win it all.
Okay, we're going to discuss them right now. Yes, but first I want to discuss one subject, then we can jump into that. So obviously one of the tourney's biggest stars, we all know, Lonzo Ball, who led the Bruins to a 29-4 record, a 3 seed in the NCAA tournament, leads the country in assists at 7.7 a game. While he's been shining on the court, his dad won't stop talking about his greatness. Now, before you actually get into this game and matchup,
all dads talk about people's greatness.
As a coach, though, would you deal with his dad?
No, Steve Alford's not dealing with his dad.
Everybody else is dealing with his dad.
You know what? Every time the guy talks, there's a microphone in front of his face. Here's the deal. Steve Alford has handled this thing brilliantly. Steve Alford's coaching his basketball team. He's coaching the kid. The kid is handling it incredibly. Because you know what? The kid, here's what happens with Lonzo Ball. They go into practice at UCLA. Everyone's in the locker room. I'm going to use Bryce Alford as an example. Bryce Alford comes in and goes, "Hey, Zoe, you hear what your old man said today? Man, that dude is crazy. How about him? All right, what time's practice?" You know, the kid is unaffected by anything. Look, I'd like someone to give me $1 billion for a shoe contract also. Unfortunately, you know what? It's great he's saying these things. He's a parent. You know what? Parents, when they go see their kids, they only see their own child. He's trying to brand his team. It sounds great. It hasn't been a distraction to Steve because Steve doesn't deal with it. The team respects the kid. The kid is flatlined.
Coach.
He's just like this. Yes, my good friend.
Coach. If we were on Saturday morning together, we would be talking about this because I know you well enough to know that that's the basketball side. You take into account everything. Basketball side, I 1,000% agree with you. From the personal side, considering the advent of social media, considering the dishonest individuals that are out there, the people that try to goad you into doing something you may not want to do, or will even lie about something and misrepresent and mischaracterize something that you may have done. My concern is that his dad, who happens to, by all accounts, appears to be a great dad, is not taking enough of that into consideration and how that can ultimately have a detrimental effect on his son. To that you say what, Coach?
I think, you know what, I think his dad takes all that off of him because his dad deals with it. His dad kind of takes all that stuff off of him and just lets the kid do what he does. Like, he's no, to me, it's no different than golf parents, tennis parents, all right? The dad, in a way, is a distraction that allows Steve to just coach the kid and the kid to just go out and play. The guy has this master plan. That's great. It's not going to impact his draft status. And the one thing, and I say it all the time, Reese Davis laughs every time I say it, he's created an epidemic of passing at UCLA. So, you know, in a lot of ways, maybe his dad's right. But, look, his dad's marketing his son. Let the kid go out and play, and UCLA go win a national championship.
Yeah, clearly you're a believer because you got him winning it all.
I think they're losing to Kentucky, Coach. I think they're losing to Kentucky.
But they couldn't.
And as far as an endorsement deal, you're already all geared up in your Adidas, looking smooth anyway. So I think you're
got
you're
my Hardens on, you know what I mean?
Oh, there you go.
This is how I roll.
Coach, we appreciate you.
Got my swag.
Yes, of course you do. Coming up, it's no secret that the Knicks are struggling this season. So why is Kristaps Porzingis emerging as the leader of the squad? Meanwhile, one of the potential landing spots we've repeatedly heard regarding Tony Romo is Mile High. We've even heard folks make the case he could be Denver's new Peyton Manning. Well, John Elway so far has dismissed the possibility of getting Romo and reaffirmed his confidence in his two current quarterbacks. The Texans also have been interested in hiring Romo as an analyst for the network, and other networks probably would be interested in hiring the Cowboys quarterback for a TV job. On that note, we welcome in our friends. So good to see you.
Same.
Braving the elements to be here. Damian Woody, we appreciate you.
Thank you for having me.
And I know Stephen A. and Max are excited that you're here with
Yeah,
us.
they're excited for this butt. They're excited for this butt kicking.
That's what I'm talking about.
What you doing? I don't like the bass in your voice, big boy. I mean, I just don't like what you think you big and bad just because you rolled up in Bristol in the snow. So what? So what?
I see you stayed at home instead of seeing me right here on set. That's the deal right there. White, come see me.
That's a good answer.
Come see
That's a
me.
good answer.
Stephen A. has a good point. Shouldn't you be hibernating somewhere?
I hibernate most of the year, but when it's time to come on here and blaze both of y'all, it's that time.
You want to know what? We're blue collar.
Bring it, big boy.
We're the blue collars. We're the workers. Those two are the white collars.
We ain't on a football field, big boy. I ain't scared of you. I ain't scared. Let's go.
All right, let's do it then.
All right, so as we just mentioned with Tony Romo, obviously right now it seems John Elway not that interested, but the silver lining is that he does have options. Stephen A., let's start with you here. Where would you like to see him land? The Texans, the Broncos, or join a television network?
Oh, that's an easy one, television. I mean, that ain't hard. I mean, you're 36 years old. I mean, you got everything from a bad pinky to a bad back to a collarbone injury and Lord knows what else. I mean, why not get in a TV? It's long range, it's healthy, it gives you an opportunity to go home and spend time with your kids, even hang out with Jerry in his suite while he's watching his grandson play. I mean, all of these things are things that are potentially out there for Tony Romo while he can still net millions, because we all know, how could you not love Tony Romo? I mean, Jerry Jones loves him, and if Jerry Jones loves him, chances are the NFL loves him, and if the NFL loves him, chances are some executive for a television network loves him. That just seems to be the way it works for quarterbacks in the National Football League, former and otherwise. So we have to take that into consideration. Then we have to dissect the teams, okay? The bottom line is this. Whether it's A.J. Bouye, whether it's Simon or Demps, you've got Houston. They lost dudes in free agency because they don't have but so much cap space to work with, plus they're in need of a quarterback. But again, they lost those guys, and they don't know what they have as a team. I don't consider Houston a championship team. I think they're a team that can get back to the players, but championship contender, legitimately,
know why?
I don't view them as, hold on, I'm not finished. Hold it. Then you got the Texans. So you got the Texans out of the way. Now we get to the Broncos. We look at the Broncos. You got Ronald Leary as an offensive lineman. Of course, you wanted to make sure that you restructured some deals in that regard. But I'm looking at Russell Okung. He decides to take the Chargers. I'm looking at Calais Campbell. He decides to go to the Jaguars. There are legitimate questions as to what direction Denver's going in. So if you got questions in Denver, and you got questions in Houston, and you got questions about Tony Romo's health, what resolves the issue? A television job where you can actually get paid, not only for doing, I mean, you can get paid, you got paid last year for doing nothing. This time you'd get paid for not exposing yourself to any physical violence and just talking about the game. Better to talk to the camera with millions of watching than talking to your headsets when everybody knows, nobody cares what you have to say. They really care about you on the football field, but you're too damn injured to be there. There's nothing to talk about here. Tony Romo in television.
Know why Houston's not a Super Bowl contender, Stephen A.?
A bevy of reasons,
No
not just the quarterback.
No quarterback. No quarterback. Their offensive line's a lot better than Denver. First of all, the answer is the Houston Texans. Retirement, I understand. It's a full contact sport. He's injury prone. Whatever health he has left, get out and make money. I understand that. That job will be later. It's there if he wants it. If the TV job is there for him now, it will be there for him later. But what he probably wants to do more than that is Shea Smith up, who say he's no good in the playoffs. I mean, here's a chance to prove otherwise. In the state of Texas, going at the Cowboys, who replaced him with a younger guy in the end, whatever the relationship is between Romo and Jerry Jones, that'll get your competitive juices flowing. They replaced you with a younger guy when you still thought you could play. in-state, going at the Cowboys for the first time, making real inroads to their fan base, if you're able to make a playoff run, and why wouldn't he be able to make a playoff run? You mentioned the things that Houston doesn't have. Do they still have Lamar Miller? Do they still have DeAndre Hopkins? Do they still have a better offensive line than they do in Denver? Do they still have Clowney with Watt coming back? You're going to add J.J. Watt to that defense that we just saw toward the end of the year, probably the best defense overall in the NFL last year. You're going to add J.J. Watt to that and then give him a quarterback? Now, I don't think Romo can stay on the field for a whole season, but if he can stay on the field enough, and even without Romo, we saw when they can get to the playoffs, if he can just be healthy when the playoffs roll around, you add a healthy, a ready-to-go Tony Romo to that Houston team, you may have a Super Bowl winner, and then he can get out of the game having accomplished everything he wanted. Denver's offensive line doesn't do that for him, plus the weather's no good, especially compared to Houston in a dome. For every reason in the world, the Houston Texans make the most sense for Tony Romo among those three options if he's actually leaving Dallas.
Well, look, my feeling is he should retire. I've been saying this. I think Tony Romo should retire. We talk about adding Tony Romo to the Houston Texans. Yeah, they will become a better team, but ultimately they're going to run into the roadblock, which is the New England Patriots. And I don't know if you guys have noticed that they've really loaded up for another run with Tom Brady in this closed window right here.
So I think so.
To me, it's still all about the New England Patriots. But for me, when I talk about Tony Romo, I talk about the injuries and the long-term effects of those injuries. You have a guy who's had 2 back surgeries. Anyone who's played professional sports know that when you deal with your back, you are never, ever the same type of athlete again. He's never going to play behind the offensive line that he had in Dallas, and he couldn't stay healthy behind that offensive line. So now you're talking about taking Tony Romo, put him with the Houston Texans, they have weapons, they have a defense, but he can't do the one thing that coaches always ask of their players first and foremost: stay on the field. The guy cannot stay on the field at all. So if you're the Houston Texans, you add Tony Romo, what you going to get him for? 12, 13 games maybe? Is that going to be enough to beat the New England Patriots and go into the Super Bowl? I don't feel that way. Listen, I always said the game of football is like a vapor. It's here one day, it's gone the next. You still have the rest of your life to live. And that's what I worry about with a guy like Tony Romo, who's as competitive as they come. He goes out there, suffers another injury. Your quality of life down the road is just going down the tank. So if I'm Tony Romo right now, I'm going to the booth. You can stay close to the game, be involved in the game, but not having all the contact.
Well, Damian, here's my problem, Molly, with Damian's comments. First of all, when you speak, Damian Woody, the first thing you need to say, the first words that need to come out your mouth, big boy, is, yo, Stephen A., I agree with you.
No,
Damn it, that's what you just did.
You would never hear me say that. You would never hear me say that.
That's what you just did. It's okay.
No,
it's okay.
you would never hear me say that.
I know it hurts. But I get it. It hurts your feelings to concede that you agree with me. It's all right, big boy. It's okay.
No, you just gave some long-winded answer. That's all. You just gave some long-winded answer trying to cover everything.
Here's the deal.
Don't let him gas you. Don't let him gas you, Damian.
No,
mind
he'll never do that, Max.
Mind your mix waffling, Kellerman. Mind your business.
The other day, I mentioned his back. You said I wasn't a doctor. You said you need to be a doctor, apparently, for Stephen A. Smith if you bring up an injury to someone's back.
There you go. Here's the deal. Houston was the #1 team defensively in yards allowed and #2 against the pass. That is true. They were number 12th against the rush, number 11 defensively overall. But you know what bothers me about everybody talks about the Houston Texans? And Damian, help me out here. What bothers me is nobody brings this up when they talk about Houston's defense. Last 6 games of the year, after playing Green Bay on December 4th, they played Indy, Jacksonville, Cincinnati, Tennessee. They lost that game.
They lost that game. The teams that's on your schedule, Stephen A. What are you talking about?
Guys, we got to get to break in a minute.
I'm only bringing it up to say we're making so much noise about their defense, but we need to think about the offenses they played against. That's all I'm saying.
All right, we got to leave it there. We have discussion I can't wait to get with you in just a moment. You'll be back with us, Damian. Always good to see you. Thanks for putting up with those two. Coming up, Ezekiel Elliott is finding himself in some hot water today after a scandalous video hit good old TMZ. Should the Cowboys discipline him? As I just mentioned, Damian will be back with us for his take on that. And Lonzo can ball, but is as far as a winner-go-home situation for UCLA to discuss as a part of ESPN's 24-hour Tournament Challenge Marathon.